We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Javi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Evan Longoria and a team that has really been tough on us, the Tampa Bay Rays. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set and the finale of this six-game homestand, I should say, because of the fact it's not been a good homestand. We lost 2 out of 3 of the Yankees. They've won the first 2 here. And not a lot to take out of these 2 games, but more last night, except Saladino.
Tyler Saladino, since coming to the major leagues, has been a revelation for the Sox, and it's no coincidence the team has played better because of his presence. Now, he can hit the ball pretty well, and he's hit safely in 6 of his last 7. Last night, hit a home run, went 2 for 4, but it's his defense that's turned everything around. So Saladino understands how to play the game, as does Logan Forsythe. A lot of people are calling him the best pure hitter on their team since the All-Star break, hitting .316, 4 homers, 14 driven in. He's had a big series, 3 for 7. And he seems to be able to hit a fastball very well, as he showed Chris Sale last night. So got to be able to hold these guys down, because the Sox have never had a season where they didn't beat an opponent, and they're on the verge of doing that against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, last night Chris Sale had a tough outing. Last time out, Carlos Rodon had a tough outing. He's looking to bounce back.
Carlos Rodon's a young pitcher, so he's going to have these ups and downs. And last time out, he just couldn't get the ball over the plate, kept getting behind, and we're going to put Erasmo Ramirez and Carlos Rodon head-to-head. Since May 14th, Ramirez 8-3 with an ERA of 2.42, but opponents hitting just 196 in his 14 starts. He's been unbelievable. Last time out, Carlos Rodon really struggled. 8 hits, 8 earned runs, but the previous start, he got the ball over the plate. No walks, 9 strikeouts against the Indians. We're hoping that Carlos Rodon shows up this afternoon.
Well, we're going to try to win a baseball game today, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to beautiful U.S. Cellular Field. It's 85 degrees. It's a gorgeous day in Chicago for the finale of this series, the finale of the homestand. And let's take a look at how Kevin Cash is going to line up his Tampa Bay Rays. It's going to be Brandon Geyer leading it off with Joey Butler, who usually hits the Sox well in the 2 spot. Evan Longoria has started to heat it up, hitting safely in 11 of his last 12 and a .354 clip. Logan Forsythe, who's had a terrific series, is 4th, and it's Asdrubal Cabrera, James Loney getting a start with Richie Schaefer, Kevin Kiermaier, and Rene Rivera rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Carlos Rodon. Melky Cabrera in left, Adam Eaton in center, and Avisail Garcia in right. In the infield, it's familiar once again. Tyler Saladino, Alexei Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Jose Abreu getting the start defensively. And we've got our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher who's throwing to Giovanni Soto today. Carlos Rodon is 4-4, his ERA .484, 86 hits in 80 innings. And last time out, he couldn't get ahead of hitters, and he was a bit wild. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Marvin Hudson, Bob Davidson, David Rackley, and the crew chief Hunter Wendelstedt is at third base. So we've got some roster news for you. Daniel Webb, we had a tough time last night. We found out why. Placed on a 15-day disabled list with a back strain. He had thrown the ball exceptionally well last night. Very much an exception. 1 1/3, 3 runs on 6 hits. And Nate Jones getting off the 60-day DL. His rehab from the Tommy John surgery just a touch over a year. And Robin now has another weapon out of that bullpen. If Nate Jones is right, it's going to be a pretty good situation for the Sox pen. So they've thrown the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball. And I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over Comcast Sportsnet. So happy you could join us for the finale of this 3-game set and the finale of this 6-game homestand. So here's Brandon Geyer. And the first pitch. Taken for a ball. Geyer hitting at .245, 0 for 4 in this series. That's into right center field. 1 out. Rays come in hitting at .242 as a team with a 3.58 ERA.
Well, you would think because the Rays have never seen Carlos Rodon that at least the first time through the order he would have the advantage. There you look at some pretty good numbers for Joey Butler. He got familiar with Kevin Cash, or rather Cash got familiar with him in the minor leagues, and when he came over, he said get Butler because he can swing the bat.
Well, you couldn't prove he can't by us.
No, he's been swinging it well.
That's going to be another souvenir. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gap, and 400 straightaway center. He gone.
Carlos starts off pretty well, and this was a little bit of an off-speed slider, although 87, it's hard to say a slider's off-speed, but he got it low and in and struck him out.
So here is Longoria, 4 for 9 in the series, hitting at .275, 11 homers, 47 knocked in.
Looks like Carlos today is determined to just get it and throw it, which is a good sign.
little something off that one. Nice catch by one of the fans in the mezzanine. Two and one to count. As a two-hopper. And a nice start. 1-2-3 for Carlos Rodon.
Cooperative Telephone in Ellsworth, Iowa. Let's take a look at how Robin's going to line up our Sox this afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off with Tyler Saladino in the 2 spot. Then it's Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, Abisail Garcia, Adam LaRoche the DH, with Alexi Ramirez, Giovanni Soto, and Carlos Sanchez rounding it out. There you look at the defense. Joey Butler, Kevin Kiermaier, and Brandon Geyer left to right in the infield. Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Loney. Rene Rivera behind the plate. And our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Erasmo Ramirez. He's been unbelievable in his 16 starts. He's 8-4 this year. His ERA 3.61. Opponent's hitting just .217, which is really good.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Adam Eaton takes first pitch strike. Adam 1 for 7 in the series, and he has hit in 12 of his last 13 ball games. Comes in at .269, 9 homers, 25 knocked in. That one high and wide. Sox come in at .249 as a team, 4.06 team ERA.
Ramirez came over from the Seattle Mariners. They got him in exchange for left-hander Mike Montgomery. That was March 31st of this year.
Three and one. Don't help him out. And the leadoff walk. So here comes Tyler Saladino, hitting at .256, 3 homers, 8 knocked in, 3 for 8 in this series with a homer. Takes first pitch strike. 86 degrees as we speak. Just a beautiful day here in the city. Beautiful. Pass to Bunny. And the count 0-2.
Not a bad idea, but they do have two excellent cornermen in the infield. Longoria and Loney, defensively, are just about as good as it gets.
Rivera with a nice little shift there. So 1-2. Mezzanine section.
That was the best fastball he's thrown. That was 93 on the outer third. He threw a couple of pitches to Adam Eaton, 87 and 89. This time he heats it up, and Tyler was able to stay alive.
Nice piece of good work right there. So the walk. The base hit, 2 on, and I hope Adam Eaton's okay.
Well, Robin's going to come out, and I think he wants to check with Adam Eaton, and here comes Hermy. So there's the base hit. We'll isolate on Adam Eaton. He skips over that one, then comes up Gimpy.
Sox with an off day tomorrow. Which might prompt Robin and Hermy, if they think there's anything, get him out now and give him 2 days rest.
That didn't look particularly encouraging, but hopefully it's just a cramp instead of something a little more serious. Looks like he's touching the shin area just below his left knee.
He says he's okay. Doesn't look like it, but he says he's okay. So here's Abreu. Jose, 2 for 7 in the series, comes in at 296, 19 homers, 64 driven in. Had a 2-run homer in the first game. And he's hit 14 of his last 15. Had that 14-game hitting streak snap last evening.
Hopefully the trend of Erasmo Ramirez does not hold. He's the best in the league facing the 3-4-5 hitters and batting average against at just 149. Also slugging percentage. He's the best in the league with a slugging percentage of 248. That's against 3-4-5 in the order.
That's a good. Just foul. Dadgummit.
That's 2 runs if that one hits on the left side of the line. Unfortunately, it was slicing and hit on the right side of the line. Bob Davidson on the call, and this looked like it was going to be a fair ball until right there. Probably just about a foot foul.
Still a good piece of woodwork.
Well, Saladino went out of the strike zone to take it into right field on a defensive swing, and Jose pretty much did the same thing. That ball was just off the plate.
And there's a shot right back through the middle. So they're going to have to hold out. Now the ball is bobbled out there in center, so he'll come on and score. It'll be a single. Error 8 on Kiermaier, and it's 1-0 Sox.
That's only the second error of the year on Kevin Kiermaier, who is a terrific defender. Only his concentration wavered on this one, and when he bobbled the ball after Joe McEwing had held up Adam Eaton, he's able to score, and the Sox break on top. He just never caught the ball, and then he kicked it. He's going to stay right there until Joe McEwing says turn it on.
So here's Melky. Just jabbed at it. That's pretty impressive. Having the best of the 3, 4, and 5 hitters.
It's been unbelievable. And also, batting average of balls in play. 171 through the heart of the order. That's also first in all of baseball. That's 135 different starters, and he's number 1. It looks like today he's getting behind hitters. And the leadoff walk, it's kind of nice to see the leadoff walk from the other team come back to haunt them. That's what happened with Adam Eaton.
We had 3 leadoff walk last night, and all of them scored. There's a good pitch in on the fist. Two on, nobody out, and the 2-2 pitch. Stay fair. And will, thank you very much. Now fan interference, so Saladino will score. Abreu is held at third, and it's 2-0.
So if this ball stays in play, Melky is going to wind up with 2 runs driven in. It was a changeup, and he just waded back and unloaded on it. Fortunately, this one did indeed stay fair and then bounces out of the yard. So Melky Cabrera driving in run number 54, leaving runners at second and third. Sox already have a pair here in the first inning and looking for more as they've shocked Ramirez with 3 straight hits after a leadoff walk.
They'll bring up Avi. Avi 3 for 8 with a home run in this series. That coming last evening. What he's going to try to do here, take it to the right side, get 1 in and 1 over. They're going to bring the first baseman, James Loney, in. Up the middle, they're back. They ball hit high, deep stretch. Straight back, he looks up. You can put it on the board, yeah. 3-run ball, and it's 5-0 Sox.
The last at bat last night. Avi Garcia took one out of the ballpark. And the first at bat today, he takes one out of the ballpark, his 9th of the year. He's now driven in 37. It looked like a slider that hung in the middle of the plate. It was only 84 miles an hour, and he got just about all of it and took it way back and out.
So here's Adam. Get right to the shortstop, Cabrera. So 1 out. And right now, let's check out our picks to click. There you see. Commangio, Mike Leary, Crew, they went with Giovanni. Steve's going with Adam Eaton and Roy Rivas, Don Esposito, Julie Taylor. We're going to go with Carlos Sanchez. Over to the count to Alexi. And here's a base hit.
That is another slider. So Ramirez gets the best of Ramirez. Our Alexi and their Erasmo. Erasmo is having a tough first inning.
So here's Gio. Hitting at 244, 8 homers, 19 driven in.
This offense today is reminiscent of what happened early in Boston, as the boys had their hit and close on in the top of the first. It's the bottom of the first, but 5 have crossed the plate.
One and one to count. Five and 0. With 1 on 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning.
Said I alluded to in the opening was our White Sox are 0-5 against Tampa Bay heading into this game today. They've never finished with a winless record against an opponent in a single season with a minimum of 6 games.
And that's just foul, says Wendelstedt.
Gio takes it down the line. And unfortunately, just, and I mean just on the other side of the bag. That one missed by an eyelash.
Sort of shove that bat at that one. So the count hangs at 1 and 2. Got in on the fist. And that'll retire the side, but not before a big crooked number goes up on that board. It is 5-0 good guys.
The game brought to you by Miller Lite. And we'll take a look at the ending of the first inning. Gio bidding for a base hit, maybe a double to left field, but Evan Longoria at the top of his jump. And there's an old saying in baseball, and it's called make the line drive go through. If you don't, why, you're liable to get doubled up and taken out of the inning. And that's exactly what happened. But 5 on the board in the first.
Here's Forsythe. Logan. 3 for 7 with a homer in this series. Change up.
Love to see Carlos get that change up over early. Gives the hitters a little something extra to think about.
Got him. 1 out.
Little soft toss from shortstop, and it pulls Jose off the bag, but he gets the tag there just on the uniform under the arm of Forsythe.
Very seldom does he ever make a bad throw when he turns it loose.
I can't remember him making a bad throw when he turns it loose, but he has a tendency to lollipop it across the diamond.
So here is Asdrubal. And that is the first hit. Coming with 1 out here in the second.
Now we'll see with a runner on if Carlos continues to speed up his delivery, which is kind of nice. He's gotten the ball today and thrown it. I think that's in an effort to avoid what happened last time against the Yankees, where he just had no rhythm. He gave up the 8 runs in 3 innings, and he was taking an awful lot of time. They tried to speed him up a couple times, and I think Don Cooper's been talking to him about it.
Loney at 265, 3 homers, 20 knocked in.
And against the Yankees, with 4 strikeouts and 4 walks, he threw 91 pitches in those 3 innings.
Oh, nice. Nice pick right there by Gio.
That slider was well wide of the plate, and Gio shifting to his left, and a lot of catchers would go out and shift on the shin guard, but before the shin guard could get down, Gio actually caught the ball. Nice play.
Outfield swung around to the left. That is chopped foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. As I mentioned, off day tomorrow. Tomorrow night we leave to go to Kansas City. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come back here. The Angels and the Cubs.
Big series against those Royals, with the opener seeing Johnny Danks and Edinson Volquez. That should be entertaining. Then Jeff Samardzija against Jeremy Guthrie, and Jose Quintana against Danny Duffy. A big weekend series in Kansas City.
This shanks that one into left field. So 1 out, 2 on.
That's very much the way Loney has spent his entire career. He's been a man who's tough to strike out. He will make some contact. He came up with the Dodgers, was a terrific defender, but for a first baseman, never had the kind of power they would have liked. When you have a guy that consistently makes contact, as Loney does, gives you a good glove, he is very valuable. And today, Kevin Cash used him in the lefty-lefty matchup.
That'll bring up Richie Schaefer. Debuted his major league debut in the first game of this series. And last night picked up his first hit, his first home run.
He went the opposite way and showed you the kind of power he had. Javi went up as high as he could go up. That one didn't make it. He got the silent treatment. The invisible man gives him the high five. And then the folks jump on him for a while.
Change up high.
Minor league career. Well, this year anyway, 94 games, 23 home runs combined between Double and Triple A. That's pretty impressive. Another good stop by Gio. He saved both runners moving up and kept the double play in order.
Close pitch, did not get it. So 3-1 count.
Had a good fastball dotting the outside corner.
Payoff pitch. And that'll load him up.
One of the things we've seen from Schaefer in this series, the fact that he's pretty selective. He's got a good eye, and that's going to bring Don Cooper out from the dugout. He wants a word with Carlos Rodon as he walks his first man of the afternoon, but finds himself with the bases loaded and only one out.
If you're just tuning in, last inning, bottom of the first, leadoff walk to Adam Eaton, base hit by Saladino, base hit by Abreu, double by Cabrera, and then a 3-run homer by Avi Garcia. And of course, with that home run, the Alex Nelius family will hook up with Christine O'Reilly and White Sox Charities in loving memory of Ursula.
Time now for the AT&T Uverse Multiview. Shows you the bases full of Rays. Not a lot of great speed on the base paths.
So here's Kiermaier. 3 for 10 in the series, hitting at .247, 4 homers, 21 knocked in. Outfield spread out slightly to the left, and that almost hit him.
Kiermaier, one of only 2 lefties in the lineup. He's only grounded into 3 double plays this year. That's what he's done over the course of his brief career with the bases loaded. That's pretty impressive.
High and to left field. Now going to foul ground as Alexi goes over. Had a long way to go. Got there. Made the catch. Nice play.
Usually when you're 2-0, you get a little more selective than Kevin Kiermaier was there. This is not really a good pitch to hit because it's a high fastball. Alexi goes over. He calls for it. He takes control, and you're not going to run on his arm if you're Asdrubal Cabrera.
Plus, it was the way he got to 2-0. Not even close. This guy swung the bat real good last night. 3 hits, an RBI. Yeah, I was a little surprised he swung at that pitch 2-0.
He's a pretty good player, but when you're that far ahead of the pitcher, you got to zone hit.
Yeah.
Even if you're looking fastball, that was really out of a zone.
That one at 93. So 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Matt Albers loosening in the pen.
Take him right here.
With a 5-run lead early, this should show you how important Robin thinks this particular game is heading to Kansas City. Normally you wouldn't have anybody loosening up with a 5-run lead, but Sox have to have this game.
Well, as bad as we've been overall this year, the start we got off to, which was atrocious, and won 7 in a row on the road, got back into it seemingly, and then to have this bad homestand here, it's just been a seesaw. But if you look at it, if we win this game, we're only 4 games under.
And coming in today, 4.5 back in the wild card, although you got to jump over a whole lot of teams, and it appears that Toronto is loaded for bear. I'm not sure how many more times they're going to lose on the way home.
Well, we're actually, in my opinion, we're actually in better shape than we should be the way we play. Be at Mitchell's Tap in Chicago. Watch Chicago battle Kansas City and enjoy Miller Lite. That's this Friday at 7 p.m. Great beer equals great responsibility. Nothing good guys here in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Handsome family out at the old ball yard. Young lady, I'm sure enjoying this. Let's make sure she's covered with some suntan lotion and a few concessions.
Carlos Sanchez will lead it off as the Sox sent 8 men to the plate, bottom of the 1st, and he takes first pitch strike. Carlos 2 for 8 in the series. Oh, and 2 the count.
Last 18 games, Carlos Sanchez has been red hot from both sides of the plate, hitting .329, Hit the ball out of the park 3 times, driven in 5, scored 6.
Free hopper.
Let me show you what a pitcher loves to see a hitter do when he puts a pitch right here. Watch the pitch. It's low and away. It has good late movement. It's a sinker, and when a hitter tries to pull that, the pitcher is ecstatic because that's what he wants to force him to do. Pull it, roll over it, ground it to the right side instead of slapping it to left field.
First pitch strike to Adam, who led off the bottom of the first with a base on balls.
Sox pretty happy that whatever it was that was plaguing Adam from first to second base has gone away. He has a tendency when he gets on to score runs, and that is invaluable at the top.
Pop up. Cabrera.
Somewhere around the top of the third, we're going to have supermodel Taylor Hill in the booth for an interview. She's going to talk about the Victoria's Secret Pink MLB collection. Going to ask her exactly what the collection entails, and I know all 30 major league teams are involved with it.
Here's Tyler. That ball high and deep into left field. On the track now. Butler makes the catch. That'll retire the side, and we'll go to the third, leading 5-0.
With Taylor Hill. And Taylor threw out the first pitch today, and there it is. Now, she tells me she's never had much experience with that, yet she did make it on a hop. So how was it to be in the middle of a gigantic ballpark throwing out the first pitch when you'd never done anything like that?
It's so nerve-wracking. I was really nervous. I had no idea what I was doing, so I just went out there and I looked at the guy and I just threw it at him. So
well,
that's what I did.
It's not a bad plan, certainly. Tell us a little bit about the VS Pink MLB collection that you're representing along with Victoria's Secret.
It's the collection for the sportswear for everybody who's fans of a sports team, and it's for girls who want to look cute when they go to their sports game. I know I have that problem. I'm always like, what do I wear? I can't wear this man jersey. So it's great they're making a sports line, and it's really awesome.
How did you get selected to do what you're doing? And I know there's 4 of you that are traveling around the country, and you're from Denver, so what was it that you did to get to be one of the 10?
I think just they saw something in me that I could handle doing all of this, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of traveling, and at the same time it's very fun, and you have to have a fun personality and be able to go along with it, and I just feel like I was born to do it because that's just my life.
I mean, it's been great, certainly, and the fact that you are representing Victoria's Secret in conjunction with the MLB, all 30 teams involved with this, I think it's a good thing. So besides the little tops you have, what other things are in the collection?
I'm not really sure. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's just, T-shirts. They have probably sweatshirts, and, it's clothing, so you can wear it to sports games and all of that stuff. Socks, most likely. So, yeah, I'm excited to see all of it and maybe wear it to some games. So.
Well, thank you very much for coming out today. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure that in your travels you will represent both Victoria's Secret and Major League Baseball.
Of course.
Great.
Of course.
Nice to see you.
Nice
Take care.
You. Thank you so much.
Don't lose that smile. 1-2 the count to Joy Butler. That's 2-2. Butler struck out swinging. A little off-speed pitch. Down and in. That's right at him. We got a man right there. Route number 2. So here's Longoria. He grounded out to Alexei at short. Takes first pitch strike. Just flipped it up there at 93.
Well, that's going to be the next stage in the development of Carlos Rodon, and that is knowing he can throw 97 miles an hour, maybe 98 when he pumps it up there. He's going to learn that he doesn't have to do it all the time. You can sacrifice a few miles an hour for pinpoint control, and it looks like he's doing that today. So he can still reach back and get whatever it is he needs. But if you can get ahead like we've seen Chris Sale do, making his fastball into 3 different pitches, you're certainly well ahead of the game.
That ball ripped down into the corner. So Longoria pulls in the second with his 25th two-bagger.
There's not a whole lot of hitters around who would have been able to take that hard slider low and in, keep it fair, and drive it into the corner. But Evan Longoria is one of the guys who can. This is a tough pitch to handle. It's out of the strike zone.
He's one of the guys in this league who is really good at rerouting his bat. Because of that soft movement into the ball, he's got his little hang time there, and that gives him the opportunity to reroute the bat. But getting back to most of the good pitchers that I faced, and most of the good pitchers around, they always kept a little something in their back pocket.
Yeah. Many times you didn't see it till the later innings of a ball game, and certainly one thing that I always thought about Hawk was, the scouting report says a guy is weak in a certain place, but if you go to it with 2 outs, nobody on in the first, and then again in the fourth, by the time you have to go get him, you've already shown him your hole card. If he can't do you any damage by driving in some runs, throw him something else.
That was one thing about the great Catfish Hunter. God rest his soul, one of the best teammates ever had. He didn't throw hard. And all he had was a little spiral for a slider, little spinner for a curveball, as Forsythe can't get it. But then when I got traded and hit against him, I might not see anything but that 89, 88 mile-an-hour fastball until the last at bat. And all of a sudden, here comes a slider on the black and grabs some bench, Hawk. That's the way he pitched. That ball hit deep into right field. So back-to-back doubles. And it's a 5-1 ball game.
Logan Forsythe has had quite a series. This ball is low and away, so it's been two good pitchers' pitches with back-to-back doubles. And Forsythe drives in his 50th. That leads the team.
Here's Cabrera. He hit the first pitch he saw for a solid base hit with one out last inning. Has popped up. Got a long way to go. Can he get there? Sanchez can't. So Forsythe will score. And it's a 5-2 game. There's a Kansas City special for you right there.
Well, an example of if the defense is playing in a different area, sometimes you got all kinds of time to loop it, and no chance at all for Carlos Sanchez. No chance for Avi because he was playing in right center field and had a long way to run to the line, and so just like that, 3 straight hits closes the gap to 3 runs.
So here's Loney. He had a little Kansas City special himself back last inning. A little shank into left field. That's in the right. We got a man there. So 2 out, nobody on. They come up with back-to-back doubles and then a bloop single, and it's 5-2 good guys. One with Bears strong safety Ryan Mundy. Get to know the 7-year veteran as he gears up for his second season here in Chicago. Watch Bears Life with Ryan Mundy, presented by Xfinity. That's Sunday after Cubs post-game live on Comcast Sportsnet. Abreu, Cabrera, Garcia. Jose, line shot single and a run scored in the first inning. Takes first pitch strike from Erasmo. Oh, 0-2 the count. Softly hit. Plenty of time.
Time now for our Lowe's Never Stop Improving stat. And it is Melky Cabrera since June 21st. Batting average 369, that's third. The hits second at 55, the doubles second at 16, and the runs batted in fifth at 31. So Melky has really started to heat it up. He's got that batting average up right around his career average.
Takes low ball one. Melky with a double, an RBI double on a run scored in the first. 2-0. So the second walk issued by Ramirez.
Time now for our Xfinity high-speed action replay. And to put the capper on it in the first inning. Avi hit his second home run in as many days. He's got 9, and he drove in 3 to make it a 5-run first.
Rivera wants a little chit-chat. Gap out there, big gap out there in left center if he can find it, if he gets another hanging slider. 2-0 the count. Ramirez got the benefit of the doubt on that one.
He didn't mean to foul it off, but unfortunately, on 2 pitches out of the zone, Avi finds himself 2-2.
Short lead. And that's foul. And it's not going to be playable. Talking about keeping things, something in your back pocket. That goes in every sport. I'm playing down the golf one day down at LaGorce in Miami Beach with Nicholas after the round was over. And I was really hitting it good, killing it. After the round was over, we were going to have some lunch, and Jack looked at me and he goes, "Hawk," he says, "you can't play golf that way." That's what he's talking about. He says, "you flat out on every swing." He says, "you're better off playing where you've got maybe play 85-90%. Keep something in your back pocket for long par fives, or whatever it may be, because every time you go out there," he says, "as long as you're hitting it, all you got to do is just go off just a couple of degrees and you're in trouble." He said, "hit the fairways." And that's the way he played golf. That ball in left center field. He said, "and you're always better off playing golf the way the architect designed it." He says, instead of trying to cut all the dog legs, he said, there are exceptions. He says, I'll tell you the difference. He says, I won the Masters when I hit nothing but 3-woods, and I've also won the Masters when I hit nothing but drivers.
But you're also talking about, if not the greatest that ever lived, probably in a top 2 or 3. But
his take on it, though, was so cerebral.
The object lesson is good.
Yeah. Two and 0.
Got the shift on for Adam.
He talked about it the other day, though. The term he's pacing himself is non-existent today in the game of baseball for the most part. So the shift's going to get him. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 4th, leading 5-2.
Your strongest fan photo, use hashtag Chicago Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself on an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Ball 1. Richie Schaefer. There's a strike.
There's an example of using your fastball and take a little something off using the same release point, the same arm speed, but throwing at 91 instead of 95.
That ball's hit hard, but foul.
And that was a straight change. Again, you identify the beauty of a straight change to a strong hitter especially. The hitter's eyes identify a fastball. Well, he goes out to get it, and lo and behold, he is way early on that one. Even though it's down the middle, the Honda pitch track showed you where it was, and Schaefer hit it way foul.
He gone.
Three different pitches, three different speeds. The result, Schaefer down on strikes. Good slider down and in after an off-speed fastball, a straight change, and then the hard slider down. Schaefer with no chance in that at bat.
The only time a pitcher should ever go pedal to the metal is when he's a one-pitch pitcher, and that's a fastball. Those guys, pitchers, those smart pitchers love it when they throw you a straight change and you kill it. Meanwhile, strike one. Meanwhile, strike two.
That's it. Hit it as far as you want as long as it's foul.
Spins out of the way of that one, does Kiermaier. Center field, and we got a man there. That's a hang wolfing for Kevin. Looked like Adam was running okay there.
Yeah, he got to the ball pretty quickly, got a good jump on that one. And Hawk, I've been getting a lot of tweets from people, and they want to know something that you mentioned, and that is what exactly is that Kansas City special you keep talking about?
Kansas City special is something that is in their arsenal offensively. Certainly in the American League, they get more broken bat bloops and beat out infield singles than any team in the American League, probably all of baseball. And that is a Kansas City special. But they use it. That's part of their game. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3. And we go to the bottom of the fourth.
Day on Sunday, August 30th. Chicago's own Vertical Church Band will be playing a pregame acoustic set. So be sure to stick around after the game as Adam LaRoche and other players discuss their fate. To purchase specially priced tickets, visit whitesox.com/fate. Must be Little Ladies' Day at the ballpark today.
Here is Ramirez, Soto, and Sanchez. We're getting back to the Kansas City special. One reason they do this is because they strike out fewer times than any team in baseball.
Yeah, you're going to get loopers if you make some contact.
Exactly. So, as I said, they use it as part of their arsenal. As there's a line drive. So, actually, now 1 for 2. For an example, Kansas City's struck out 607 times this year. There's not another team in the American League in the 600s. And they gave 607. The next lowest total is Boston at 704. Almost 100 less. Now, if you want to go to the extreme, Houston has struck out 952 times.
But they've also hit the ball out of the park a lot.
And the Cubs are the most in all of baseball at 967. So
yeah,
when you're not going to strike out and you're just one-handed little shots here and you're getting tops of the infield, it's part of your arsenal.
But it's easy to understand why the Cubs and Houston both have struck out a whole lot of times, because they're both loaded with very young players. In the case of Kansas City, these guys were very young players 4 or 5 years ago. Now they're young, established players, They got a pretty good idea about what to do in a two-strike situation.
That's what they do. They do it better than anybody.
It's the approach you've been talking about. Have a two-strike approach. I think a lot of the hitters in their lineup have that two-strike approach.
You've got a lot of guys in the major leagues, which I just don't understand, have the same swing on 0-2 as they do on 2-0. And I just don't understand that. There's two separate scenarios, especially in situations where you've got situational hitting. Gio fouls it back, so 3-2. No, I'm saying that is in essence, a compliment to Kansas City.
They've parlayed it into first place because of airtight defense, a great bullpen, and a better than average offense as he gets called out on strikes. That one had the plate.
Yeah, it did.
See, with the Honda pitch tracks, this is a good strike. Number 8 will pop up, and it'll pop up well inside the lower limits of the strike zone.
I wish we could get a lot of those Kansas City specials, a lot more of them.
Get those in the middle of a rally, it takes a little bit harder away from the opposition.
No question about it. What it does for the psyche of that ball game is unbelievable. Carlos fouls it back. He grounded out to his counterpart, Logan Forsythe, at second. Got him way out in front on that one.
Nice job of keeping the inning alive and making sure you roll over to the top with Adam Eaton as Carlos takes it right back up the middle. Ramirez might have had a shot at it. It got by him pretty quickly on one hop. Usually when it's hit to the glove side, you'll be able to make some of those plays, but that ball hit a little too quickly for him.
The count. Adam 0 for 1, but he walked leading off the bottom of the first, and that started off that 5-run first inning. Interesting start for the Yankees in that game with Boston today, making his major league debut. Luis Severino.
Severino's got a big fastball. The Yankees really like him, and talking with Larry Rothschild when they were here about him, and Larry's a pitching coach, he said they view the sky's the limit for a guy that dominated every level in the minor leagues.
Well, he's 7-0 in AAA this year with a 1.91 ERA.
Yeah, I mean, they kept moving him up, and they figured, well, this is a level where things even out a little bit for him, but it didn't work out that way. So this is what it looks like in the American League East. Yankees on top by 5.5 games against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are going to start to surge. The Orioles, they picked up Gerardo Parra, who's a pretty good player, very underrated from the Milwaukee Brewers. And that's it for the inning. So we'll head into the top of the 5th. It's a 5-2 game.
Sox lead. It'll be the top of the order for the Rays. Geyer, Butler, and Longoria to face Carlos Rodon. Geyer has gone out to center and then lined out. Sanchez at second. If you're just tuning in, one home run, a 3-run shot by Avi Garcia in the first inning.
Wind has started to kick up at the ballpark. It's been holding up the ball to left field. Probably going to aid the ball hit to right.
Chases that one. 2-2.
There you see the flags starch to top the poles.
Ball hit him.
Sox fans, on Friday, August 14th at 3:10, our White Sox take on the Chicago Cubs. The first 10,000 fans will receive a White Sox rally towel presented by United Airlines. United, proud to fly the Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Geyer, no stranger to getting hit. That's the 15th time he's been hit this year.
That's part of his arsenal.
Yeah, he's got to get on base. He realizes that.
Butler can't get it. He has struck out and lined out hard to Avi in right field. Two and one to count to Butler. All right, turn it over and rack him up. That boy. 116th double play turn by our Sox.
This is a very snappy 6-4-3. Good feed. And Carlos right there gets up in the air. You can take the contact, any contact, if you're up in the air, because you're not going to have any knee problems or ankle problems if the guy hits you low.
Longoria 1 for 2, a double and a run scored. 25th two-bagger coming in the third inning. Ball hit hard into center field. And it's a 5-3 ball game. Number 12 for Evan Longoria now has 48 ribbies.
This is exactly what the Rays team needs from Evan Longoria. He hasn't given him a whole lot of it this year, but he's got this ability. Our Ford home run replay, and this ball is in the strike zone. It was high and away, and Longoria just put a charge into it. Adam ran back, but that ball just kept on going.
So here's Logan Forsythe. He knocked in Longoria with an RBI double. He takes strike one. That's the 7th home run that Rodon has thrown. So now that hit batsman and that big double play. Three and one. Come on, Carlos, no walks, buddy. So the second walk. And here comes Robin. Switching shortstop Asdrubal Cabrera will be the hitter. 2 for 2 with an RBI. His last one was the Kansas City special.
I think Robin just wants to give him a pep talk. Nope, he's going to take him out of it.
He made the call to the pen. So Carlos Rodon will depart. He will not get his 5 innings in, and we'll be back.
Invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting WhiteSox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Our Honda call to the pen is Matt Albert. We saw Matt for an inning last night. He gave a run, a hit, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. On for the 11th time. He's 1-0, the ERA an even 3. And there you look at the numbers. The left-handers have really hurt him. Right-handers haven't. And Asdrubal Cabrera is a switch hitter who will go after him from the left side.
Had him off balance way out in front. That ball hit hard. Very hard. Now they're going to wave him around. And it's a 5-4 ball game.
That's 3 for 3 for Asdrubal Cabrera today. He's driven in a pair. He's got 28 runs batted in, and he gets a low fastball and cranks it over Adam Eaton's head, runs it into a two-base hit. Now the Rays are down by a lone run. No chance at all for Eaton on this one.
They're going to put Loney on. Richie Schaefer on deck. And now John Jaso has come out to hit for Schaefer.
Jaso swings the bat very well as Gio Soto goes out to talk with Matt Albers. Jaso hitting .344 this year. As a pinch hitter, 3 for 7 with 2 driven in. He did have an opportunity to pinch hit in this series, and he came away empty and won at bat. There's a look at the lifetime of pinch hitting for Jaso.
1-0 the count. All right. They come up with a pair. We're halfway home. We lead it by 1. All right, our Chuck, thank you very much. It might behoove us to get a few more points here. Saladino, Abreu, and Cabrera. Erasmo, Ramirez.
Since the first inning, which was a big 5-run first, Ramirez has only given up 1 hit. That to Sanchez with 2 outs last inning. Join the White Sox in honoring the Chicago area police and fire departments. Join us on Wednesday, August 12th for Police and Fire Night, and the first 10,000 fans receive a White Sox tablet cover presented by UL. For more than a century, UL's been committed to fire safety. Learn more at ul.com/fire. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/PDFD or call 866-SOX-GAME.
Breaking ball strike to Abreu, who singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 2. Hit him on the fist. Boney. 2 down. So here's Melky. Melky, an RBI double and a run scored in the first, and he walked his next at bat.
He was able to stay back on that changeup. Ramirez has a pretty good one, but he waited and then cranked a double in the first inning. All of a sudden, Ramirez now getting that fastball up to 94.
One and one to count. Good motion with that changeup.
Yeah, 2 fastballs and a perfect changeup low and away. Good late movement. He showed him 94, and then he shows him 83 in a perfect spot.
Backhand by Cabrera. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3. And we're into the 6th. For Sox here in the top of the 6th, and let's check out a Twitter question here. Steve, have you noticed anything with Chris Sale that might give reason for his tough back-to-back starts?
I wish I could point to one thing and say, well, this is obviously it, and he's going to be able to turn it around by just correcting this aspect of his pitching motion or his delivery or anything else that went into it. We saw the tough start against Boston. It was a slider. It wasn't breaking the way it normally did, and that led to 5 hits by left-hand hitters, something that never happens. But the slider was pretty good against these guys. So it wasn't the slider. Let's take that out of the equation.
As Kiermaier in the center field.
So I'll just take it at this point that in an absolute sea of exceptional pitching performances by Chris Sale, he just happened to have 2 bad ones back to back. He is so competitive that I would assume that, and let's assume that everything is okay with him because we haven't heard otherwise, that he will come back next time out and have a very good one. So it's 2 different sets. They hit the fastball, looked like they were ready for the fastball against Tampa, and they hit the slider. Had a couple of fastballs in Boston, but you know, you can't have a great one every time out, and occasionally pitchers around this time might get a little tired. These are not called the dog days of August just because they had no better title for it.
Well, they had a great approach against it.
Tampa Bay did. They hit the
beat him
fastball.
on his fastball.
Yeah. And which you really have to do.
That's what you got to do. You're not going to beat him on his slider if he has his good one. He did not. He was underneath him and on the side of him against Boston.
So thank you.
In essence, beat him on his slider.
Thank you for the Twitter question. So we appreciate that and keep them coming.
Here's Rivera with a 1-2 count. He has struck out and gone out to right field.
Zach Putnam loosening up in the pen.
He gone.
He gets him looking. This one might have tipped the outside part of the plate, certainly too close to take, and Marvin Hudson rings him up.
Yeah, as competitive as Chris is, usually when you see a guy that competitive, they're going to have a little bit of a letdown somewhere in that season, mentally. And then you try to you ramp it up, you amp it up, you try to stay competitive, and it's just tough.
But I would assume, because this is the way it's always been with him, he's going to be fine and throwing great baseball the rest of the way.
Oh, sure. He's our guy. That breaking ball to Geyer. Geyer 0 for 2. He was also hit by a pitch. And there's a base hit into right field.
Most everything away in this at bat, and Geyer probably decided he was not going to get hit for the 16th time this year, so he takes it into right field. He will steal a base, so you better be careful. 10 of them. 10 out of 12, and now a meeting at the mound.
Grady Sizemore is going to hit for Butler.
And usually when this happens, when everybody goes to the mound, when a pitcher has just started loosening up in the pen, that means that Robin has probably made his decision, and indeed he has. And by everybody going to the mound, taking a little extra time, he bought Putnam probably 5 extra pitches. So as Zach comes in and Matt steps out, we also will step out and be back after these messages. p.m., Chicago White Sox Volunteer Corps and First Merit Bank are teaming up to clean up the Elliott Donnelly Youth Center and host an end-of-the-summer barbecue for the youth and the families of the center. For more information, please visit whitesox.com/volunteer corps. Our Honda call to the bench is Zach Putnam. He inherits Geyer at first base. Putnam on for the 37th time. 3-3 is ERA, a little above 3 1/4. Just 26 hits in 35 2/3 with 52 strikeouts. And so Grady Sizemore, who's had a pretty good series swinging the bat, will step in.
Now in the first game, he had 2 at-bats. He doubled in his first at-bat and homered. And what turned out to be the game winner in his second at-bat. So 2 out. Pretty good lead. As Grady goes through it. 0-1 the count to Sizemore.
Geyer looking for his 11th stolen base. This probably isn't the pitch to do it. For that simple reason. That and the fact that 0-1, too easy to call a pitch out.
Outfield for the most part straight up. Ivy deep and right. A little bigger lead right now, looks like. He does not go, and that ball's hit. Caught. And that'll retire the side. Nothing across. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. This is 5-4 White Sox. Bourbonnais for every snap, hit, and highlight. And don't miss daily reports from training camp every night on Sports Talk Live and Sportsnet Central. And stay on top of the latest developments 24/7 on csnchicago.com. Chicago Bears Training Camp 2015 presented by Apt Electronics, Appliances, and more.
Grady Sizemore, who came on to pinch hit and made the last out of the inning, goes in to left field.
Ivy Garcia, 1 for 2, a big hit. A 3-run homer in the first inning. That was his 9th homer. Now has 37 knocked in. Off day tomorrow, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Coppin Stadium. Friday. And Saturday's game will be right here over Comcast Sportsnet. Sunday on WGN. And on Friday, it'll be Johnny Dykes against Volquez. Saturday, Jeff Samardzija against Jeremy Guthrie. And on Sunday, Jose Quintana against Danny Duffy. A couple of southpaws in that one.
There is a good look at 60% of the starting rotation. And Luis Garcia, who actually did pitch for the Sox.
And there is Noah's caught. Forsythe timed it perfectly.
This fastball is on the outer third. He almost got enough of it, but not quite. Nice play by Logan Forsythe, who's had quite a series. Played 5 positions last year, and he's shown the Rays, and this year he's shown Kevin Cash that he can do just about everything.
Here's Adam. He's grounded to short, and he's grounded to second. Both those on the right side of the infield. Quick 0-2 count. Change up off the end of the bat.
Since that first inning where Sox scored all 5 of their runs, there's only been 1 hit. That was by Carlos Sanchez with 2 outs in the 4th. When Alexei Ramirez got a base hit, which was the 5th hit of the first inning, promptly erased by a double play, their Ramirez has gotten awfully tough.
Well, 1 walk and 1 hit. And here is Alexei, fakes the bunt, takes the strike. Four, 8-1 for them. 5-6-0 for us. In one. Now zone him in. Reel him in and light him up. Alexei. Yanks that one foul.
Steve Geltz loosening up. We saw him in the opener of the series. Carlos Sanchez in the 7th inning hit a 2-run homer to make it 4-3 Sox at the time.
On the move, Longoria has 7 in a row retired by Ramirez.
Photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Chicago Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Here we go, top of the 7th and a 5-4 White Sox lead. If you're just tuning in, we scored 5 in the first. They scored 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth. It's just a bad aura, bad karma right now about this ball game. Longoria, 2 for 3, a double, and a home run. They measured that home run at 439 feet. Out in front.
Today, the middle of the order has done it for the Rays. 3, 4, and 5 hitters, 6 for 8, 4 extra base hits, 4 driven in, and they've scored 4 times. Fortunately, for the most part, the table setters didn't set the table, or this would be very damaging.
Evan would not bite. They're underway out in Denver, where Seattle leads the Rockies 2-0, top of the 4th inning.
That Seattle team has won 3 games in a row. Starting to play a little better baseball.
Looks like Evan is all over it. And a full count.
Logan Forsythe in the on-deck circle.
And that's chop foul.
Well, he hit the very top of the baseball on that splitter. Beat it right into the ground and reverse spinned it back over Soto's head. It's another splitter. Let's hope he gets it down.
Ball just rocketed back to the middle for the leadoff single.
Sox fans, head to your local Famous Dave's and receive a scratch and win ticket for your chance to win a trip to New York to see the White Sox battle the Yankees. You also get to throw out a first pitch at a White Sox game. Also, great offers from Famous Dave's and discount White Sox tickets. Head to your local Famous Dave's today for your chance to be a winner.
So here's Forsythe. He's 1 for 2, an RBI double, a walk, and he has scored twice. Just a little bit low.
Zach could use a ground ball here off the bat of Logan Forsythe. He's rounded into 8 double plays this year, which isn't all that many in 369 at bats.
Short lead by Longoria. And that evens the count at 1.
Zach Duke loosening in the pen. Certainly is going to face Loney. Remains to be seen what he does with Cabrera, if anything.
Squibbs that one the right side. So now Zach on top of the ball and 2 strikes. Out at the Big A in Anaheim, no score after 2. As the Angels are hosting Cleveland. He gone. Big out.
He pitched Forsythe very well, keeping everything away. Finally, a splitter ends the at-bat. Threw him a couple of fastballs away, and then 5 miles an hour off that splitter, and he had him out in front.
So here's Cabrera. He's 3 for 3. 2 of them hit hard. One of them blooped into right. For Seattle, Nelson Cruz on a 16-game hitting streak. He's got 10 home runs in those 16 games.
And Nelson has been a tremendous acquisition for him.
And pitch low and away for ball 1.
Now both bullpens up and going. As the Sox outfield defense playing a no double set, just about as deep as you can be all the way around.
One out, 1-1 to count. Yes, he did. Could not check it up. So it's 1-2.
After a pretty good fastball, he throws him the splitter. And he went almost all the way around that time. Marvin Hudson didn't even have to look down the line and get the opinion of Hunter Wendelstedt at third.
That's his 4th hit. So Longoria now is going to make the turn. And they're going to get Cabrera caught off. And he gets it.
And they want to appeal it. Cabrera is saying he didn't tag him, and this is going to be a very big appeal of a tag. Terrible base running by Asdrubal Cabrera as he gets his 4th hit. But he could very well have run Tampa Bay out of this inning. A lunge after him as Asdrubal is claiming that he didn't tag him. Well, it is really hard to tell from that angle.
Well, they're going to check it out. Bob Davidson, the first base umpire, had a good angle on it. So we'll see what they come up with. He got him. It was right on, looked to be right on the pants. Well,
bear in mind,
if he did not get him, it was bad base running on Cabrera and bad execution on our part.
There's no doubt about that. But bear in mind that the ruling on the field was he was out at first, so it has to be definitive proof. And we'll see if there was indeed
the word
definitive
conclusive
proof.
is sets the whole thing up.
Okay, so that is one angle. Take a look. Boy, again, I'm not sure how you get definitive proof out of that. From this angle, it's even a little tougher.
Right? If he got him, it had to be right there. Big play in this ball game, right here.
Well, if he is ruled out at first, and he is ruled out at first,
yes,
you would have to figure that they would walk Loney in this situation as Don Cooper comes out. He wants to talk with Zach Putnam, which means because they're not bringing in Zach Duke, I would think they would either pitch around Loney, which would be dangerous, or just put him on. But you got Jaso in the on-deck circle, and he's pretty tough normally.
So a bad base running play right there. We catch a big break for out number 2.
Cabrera decides, for whatever reason, like he is going to take off to second, but because there was no play at third at all, Sox decided going back of him. This part of it's good. The rest of this is not particularly good.
It was bad execution on our part. But the biggest thing about that whole play is Avi hitting the cutoff guy. That's the biggest thing. It enabled them to make the play and get him in a pickle.
9-6-3-6 on the out at first.
If he misses the cutoff guy, Cabrera is going to be safe. So here is Loney. Loney has a shank single. A fly out to right, and he was intentionally walked. You got to hit the cutoff man.
So far, 2 pitches, not all that close. Zach has a couple of wild pitches this year, so Gio's got to smother anything, especially if you are trying to pitch around it.
So 3-0 the count. Get over there. Attaboy, Zach. Nice job, buddy. 7th inning stretch, we still lead at 5-4.
Field using MLB.com Ballpark to unlock offers and rewards. The official U.S. Cellular Field Ballpark app is for your smartphone and Android smartphone. Perfectly complements and personalizes your trip with ballpark maps, mobile check-in, seat upgrades, and more. Download MLB.com Ballpark today or visit WhiteSox.com/ballpark app to learn more. So Steve Geltz will come into the ball game. On for the 52nd time. He's 2-4. His ERA 3.73. We told you about the last time we saw him in the opener of the series. He went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, a double to Avi, and a 2-run homer to Carlos Sanchez.
Had one of the security guys out there. They were chasing a fan. And he dove after him, missed, and evidently hurt his arm or his wrist. Five, 6-0 for us. 4, 10-1 for them. So it'll be Soto, Sanchez, and back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton. Now they're waiting for the field to clear, and here we go. Come on, guys, let's put another point or 2 on the board.
Make it a little more comfortable with the last 6 outs.
Checks it up, takes a strike. Gio 0 for 2. There's about a 50-footer right there.
I'm sure Rivera was very happy with the location of that fastball, because when you see it and it's a fastball and it's out that far from the plate, you get a pretty good idea that it's going to bounce off you somewhere. And he's feeling the effects of that one. So he's taken a bit of a beating this series.
Got a shift on for Gio, and the 1-1 pitch. Count 3-1, don't help him out.
Well, that was a pretty good pitch, and he didn't get it. He leads the American League. But this is his 52nd appearance.
Well, that in itself has a ton of merit in today's culture.
If they can run you out there, if your manager knows that they can run you out there with no discernible drop-off and stuff, that's pretty good.
Attaboy, Gio. Keep that shift. And here comes Carlos.
Sometimes that shift just doesn't work. This is normally an easy ground ball to second base, but with the second baseman playing on the third base side of second, Forsythe had no chance to get to it, and it winds up the leadoff man aboard. Carlos has got Geltz in his book. It's a small book at this point, but it's a book nonetheless. He's got 3 guys in it.
Carlos 1 for 2 today. Got a big gap out there in right center. Took that pitch nicely. You got Longoria in on the grass at third. Loney playing step and a half off the bag at first. Now he goes back to about a half a step. Now he comes off. And look at this. How sweet is this? Yes. A Kansas City special.
Gallo's now 2 for 3. He tried to go inside when Carlos hit his home run. He tried to go inside again, and this is far from it, but couldn't have dropped it out there any better. Over the head of Longoria, well away from Cabrera, and not near far enough for Sizemore. So Hickey out to the mound to talk about what they want to do in case Adam Eaton lays one down, how they want to defend this. Alex Colomé loosening in the pen. We saw him last night for a perfect inning where he struck out 2.
So here's Adam. 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He walked the lead off the bottom of the first, and that started that 5-run first inning if you're just joining us.
He does have 3 sacrifices this year.
Takes first pitch strike. Oh, and 2 the count. Throwing Adam Bristol up right here. And that'll be a souvenir left side. Big out.
This one had very good late movement. Looks like a straight change, and Adam fails to get him over or get him in.
So here's Tyler. Saladino 1 for 3, a single and a run scored. He did not go. And the count 2-0. That's one right at the bottom of the zone. Don't help him out. You got to Brady on deck. at the bottom of the zone.
This was just like the third pitch on our Toyota pitch tracks. It had a piece of the zone.
Payoff pitch, big pitch right here. Well, we get the first 2 men aboard. Can't do anything with it.
And it's our Miller Moments, and it came in the first inning with runners at first and second, nobody out. Jose Abreu hits one right back up the middle. It's not a run batted in as the run scored on an error. And then Melky comes up. He hits a one-hopper out of the park. That is a run batted in on the double, and out he comes up, a hanging slider, hits it out of the ballpark, capping off a 5-run, 5-hit first inning. And Zach Duke comes into the ball game. He's got a 1-run lead to protect. He's 3-4. His ERA 3.40. There you look at the numbers. He's been pretty good. Bonus hitting just 216.
So here's Tim Beckham. Hitting for Jaso. Backs up. Good recognition right there by Tyler Saladino.
Young man playing the bat.
Kiermaier. He's fouled out to Alexei, who made a good catch. Twice he has gone out to Adam Eaton as he takes first pitch strike. Having a little too low, so 1-1. Now field straight up. Bit of a gap out there in left center. Drops down, and he could not lay off of it.
Good sidearm slider as that one broke well wide of the plate.
Dropped down again. This time came with the fastball.
After 2 sliders with the same motion, he used a fastball and he caught him looking. Marvin Hudson rings him up. That one, as you can see, was just about the middle of the knee.
Kurt Casale will hit. Or Rivera.
He started the first game of the series, and although the batting average is down, he has hit 7 home runs. However, they didn't produce a whole lot, only 11 runs batted in. This is his first pinch hitting duty of the year.
Melky way back in left field.
Sally can get it over his head, but not and stay in the park.
Two and 0 the count. That's in the hole. So the 2-out single, and that'll bring Brandon Geyer, the leadoff hitter.
He just barely eases it by Ramirez.
Geyer 1 for 3.
That one
got a piece.
Yeah, Marvin got hit. Looks like he got him off the hand. It did.
Just off the plate. Casale has yet to attempt a stolen base. Grady Sizemore on deck. Two and 1. Off day tomorrow, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Three and 1.
Geyer swung at 1, but all 4 pitches have been out of the zone.
And it's a full count. Friday and Saturday's games from Kansas City right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Sundays will be over WGN. But a big pitch. 2 out. 3 and 2 the count. That's trouble. That is trouble. They're going to wave him around.
Boy, they might have had a shot at him. If that hits Alexi with the throw, Casale's a slow-running catcher. If he hits Alexi with the throw, he's going to turn around and gun him out by 10 feet. But the relay throw airmailed Alexi. It got to Carlos, who didn't get rid of it right away. He looks at it, and I'm not sure why he hesitates, but the hesitation allowed Casale to score the tying run.
So 5-5 tie. 2 out, nobody on. Pitch hit single. And then Guy with a double. So here's Sizemore. Grady has faced Duke 8 times, has 3 hits. One of them stayed in the park. Got to hit the cutoff man. He did it. Last inning and got the runner. Missed it this time, and he scores. So that 5-0 lead has evaporated. One and two the count. 20,028 attendance. Beautiful, beautiful day. But they tie it up. To the bottom of the 8th. Abreu, Cabrera, and Garcia.
Jake McGee. And even though the velocity is down 3-4 miles an hour, he still throws pretty well. He's on for the 30th time. His record 1-1, his ERA 1.95, just 18 hits and 27 2/3 with 4 walks and 39 big strikeouts. And so we did see him in this series. He came on in the opener, thrown pretty well. And Kirk Casale, who had the big base hit and the run scored, stays in the game behind the plate.
So here's Abreu. He's 1 for 3, had a first inning single, and he came around to score. outfield, swung around to the right. Big gap out there in left center. A lot of room between Sizemore and that left field line. And that's up high, so it'll count 2-0. Three and nothing. Taking all the way and the count 3-1.
Jose pretty much knows he's going to get a fastball here. That's all he's seen on 4 straight pitches.
That ball hit deep. Stretch. On the track. He just missed it.
He got his fastball. It was on the inner third. And he caught it toward the end of the bat instead of on the sweet spot. Gets a good swing at this. But it stays in the park.
So here is Melky. Melky an RBI double and run scored in the first. He also has walked and grounded to short. Takes first pitch strike.
Almost nipped him with that one.
Flips a breaking ball up there.
First breaking ball of the inning from McGee, and Melky able to get out of the way of it.
One and two.
Melky's lone hit against Jake McGee left the ballpark. David Robertson loosening in the pen. Bobby Thigpen over his right shoulder. Bat went farther than the ball as the bat went out to Cabrera at shortstop, but Longoria had the baseball all the way.
So 2 down. Now bring up Bobby, a 3-run homer in the first. He's 1 for 3. That's at the bottom of the zone for strike 1.
This entire crew has had a pretty decent series, and they all have the same umpiring philosophy. They will not give you the high strike, but they will consistently give you the low strike. Not quite that low.
Won the count with Adam LaRoche on deck. 3-1. Sorry, stroking, Mom.
So look for the fastball. It's going to be away.
And that was a bit of a pitch around. Yes, here comes Adam. Adam 0 for 3. Looking for it, got it, and pops it up. Cabrera. We're into the ninth, and this game tied at 5.
Number one app for live baseball. That bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay previews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. So we've got a new pitcher coming in the ball game as that young man enjoys the concession stands, and it is David Robertson. Robertson 4-3. His ERA 2.79, out for the 41st time. Save opportunities, 22 for 27. This is the try to buy an inning from your closer philosophy. David has thrown one inning in his series. Didn't work out well for him, and he's got to go right through the heart of the order for the Rays.
And the heart of the order has 8 hits today. Longoria has 3. Forsythe has 1, and Cabrera has 4. Made a good pass at it. And that's going to be a souvenir right side. Longoria's faced David 14 times, has 2 hits.
David waiting for everybody to get repositioned. Now Avi is moved out into right center field.
pass at that one. He's upset with himself. He missed that. That was a cookie. Just inside.
Got a pretty good pitch. Good eye by Longoria. And that one just barely missed inside.
He did not go.
Well, he did a good job of checking it up. There's not a lot of guys strong enough once they start and once they go as hard as Longoria to check this up, but he was able to do it.
Really, 7 for 13 in this series.
David came in the 9th inning of the opener. He faced the same three: Longoria, Forsythe, and Cabrera.
He got it. He knew it.
That was a perfect pitch, and he got outguessed. Nothing he could do. Right there for strike three.
Here's Forsythe. He scored a pair of runs today. He's 1 for 3. Count evens at 1.
Dandy of a hook. Look at the late break on this one and look at the location. Right there, down and away. Entire ball in the zone.
The loop off the end of the bat, almost a Kansas City special. 2 down. So here's Cabrera. He is 4 for 4 today. He is 8 for 12 in the series.
And it is a perfect day except for what looked like it was going to be a disastrous base running mistake in the 7th. Rounding first base, getting thrown out. The Rays came away empty in the 7th inning, only to score 1 run in the 8th to tie it up.
Pulls that one foul.
Been a long time between 4-hit games for Asdrubal. May 8th of 2014 was the last time he did it.
He also has a home run in this series, that coming yesterday.
You could see Gio pointing out at Robertson as he gave him the sign for the curveball. Put his glove down. He wanted it out of the strike zone in the dirt. That's exactly where he got it. Wants it the same place now. The Rays pen. Gomes if they don't score, Boxberger if they do score.
right on the outside corner at the knees. We go to the bottom of the ninth, tied at 5.
Brandon Gomes on for the 39th time. He's 1-4. His ERA 4.5. And there you look at 37 hits in 36 innings.
If you're just tuning in, we scored 5 runs in the first inning off of Erasmo Ramirez, and then after that little guy settled down, went the next 5 innings, giving up just nothing. 1 hit.
No, he was awfully good. He just couldn't get on track that first inning. Kept throwing a lot of straight changes. We didn't see anything at the 93, 94 mile an hour that he had later on. He just didn't throw it in the first for whatever reason.
He was impressive.
Yeah, he was.
So here's Alexei. Alexei 1 for 3.
We saw Gomes in this series in the opener. He came on to relieve for Nathan Carnes. He threw 2/3 of perfect baseball before giving way to Cedeno, Geltz, and Boxberger.
That's up high. Alexei 1 for 5 against Gomes. To the count. Here's Gio.
That one just dove out of sight. Alexei went down on strikes. That young man wants to see this one end. Maybe on a Gio walk-off. And then he can get a hat that fits.
Takes first pitch strike. Right at the knees on the outside corner. Very quickly, the count 0-2.
get him. That one had the whole plate.
Yes, it did. And 2 down.
Threw him a slider that started at his hands and broke over the inside part of the plate. He doesn't mean to throw it here, so he gets away with one. That happens sometimes. He wanted to throw it low and away. I think that Gio, a little unhappy because he saw the slider spin, felt it was going to be away. It wasn't, gave up on it, and it was a strike.
Sanchez 2 for 3. Count evens. Nice gap out there in right center. Loney guarding the line at first. And the count 3-1. Montoya, he's good. Makes the catch, and we'll go to extra innings after leading 5-0. Long. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Extra innings. In a 5-5 tie.
We've been pretty tough in extra innings, and Tampa Bay has not. They're just 2-7, I believe, in extra innings. Yeah, 2-7. Our Sox 8-3. So you would figure the odds would favor the boys in black today.
We have played 6 extra inning games here and won 4 of them. They have played 5 on the road and won 2 of them. So here's Loney. He has faced David 10 times, has 1 hit. Ball hit hard right at him. He recovers nicely. It just kept on going. Meanwhile, 1 pitch, 1 out. Tough play for the center fielder.
Any line drive hit right at the center fielder is a difficult play. And Loney hit that ball very hard. Fortunately, it was right at Adam. Tim Beckham came on for one at bat, and he grounded to third.
Saw one pitch.
This was a #1 pick in the country a few years back. It's not developed quite as quickly as Tampa Bay would have liked.
High. And that's going to be in the seats. Five, 12, and 1 for them. 5, 8, and 0 for us. And this is the finale of this 3-game set and this 6-game homestand. There's the strike. He gone.
Beckham can't believe it, but he got him. He went around too far. Good
So 2
stuff.
down.
Gio makes a nice stop. That swing indeed was a little too far to go. And Bob Davidson said, "Yep, you're out."
So here's Kiermaier. Kevin 0 for 4 today. For our guys in the bottom of the 10th, it'll be the top of the order. Eaton, Saladino, and Abreu.
After swinging the bat well yesterday, Kiermaier today has not swung it very well, and David Robertson hoping that trend continues. He had 3 hits yesterday.
Yep. 1-1 to count.
That was low and out of the zone, but Marvin Hudson's been calling him down there, and this is definitely a guy you don't want to walk. He's one of the best base stealers on this team.
Yes, he did. He gone. 4 strikeouts now for Robbie, and we'll go to the bottom of the 10th. Still tied at 5.
real good today. He had 2 strikeouts looking in the 9th, 2 strikeouts swinging in the 10th. Didn't give up anything. 2 perfect innings for David Robertson, and he got Robin Ventura exactly where he wanted him. And that was into the bottom of the 10th against their closer in a non-save situation where occasionally closers have some problems, but not so for David Robertson today. Brad Boxberger on for the 48th time. He's 4-6, his ERA 2.89. 56 strikeouts, 21 walks at 43 2/3. And the big man threw the ball fairly well in this series. He doesn't have an overwhelming fastball. It's good, but his best pitch by far is that straight change. And we saw a lot of that in the 9th inning of the opener of this one, although Sox had a couple of hits. They couldn't push across a run.
Top of the order. Eaton has walked, scored. That was in the first inning. Then he popped to short and struck out a couple times. Two 2-0. Don't help him out. Loney in close. 1 step off the line. Two balls and a strike to Adam Eaton. Start it right back through the middle.
There's the winning run as Adam drops it into center field.
Here's Tyler. Tyler 1 for 4 with a run scored. A nice base hit back in the first inning.
Let's see what Robin chooses to do, but he knows that if he bunts with Saladino, he takes the bat out of Abreu's hands.
There he goes.
Heads up base running because that ball hit Cabrera. He was down with no chance to get to the baseball. Adam realized that right away, and even though the ball stayed in the infield, the winning run is 90 feet away, and as Drubel is down.
So the stolen base
gets a good break even before Boxberger delivered. And as Drubel just misses the throw. Adam recognizes where the baseball is, looks at Cabrera, and then takes off. Heads up play. And for whatever reason, Cabrera just flat out missed the baseball, and he paid the price for it.
So he says he's okay. So Adam will pick up his 11th stolen base. More importantly, he's home third. And we'll see now if they're going to go ahead. Got options here. But you got Tyler at the plate. And Hickey comes out.
Rocco Baldelli, who was on his way to having a great career, where he fell ill and had some problems, and now he is a coach. So Hickey's had his say.
So now the infield in. One time, Tyler. Don't turn the head of the bat over, buddy. Outfield in as far as the arms will allow them. Right and without them eating right and left are too deep. Nice pick right there by Casale.
Well, if he's trying to pitch around him, Boxberger is about ready to throw the game away. He's got 2 wild pitches. That was almost number 3, and that would have been a game ender.
There's one.
So 1 out. In the ideal situation, if you're Tampa Bay, is you try to retire Saladino, then you walk Abreu. Look for a moment like this might be deep enough, but
not with Abreu coming up.
No. Well, you're gonna put him on first base. I'm pretty sure they are anyway.
You would think they would walk he and Cabrera. They're going to put him on, and then we'll see what they do with Melky. Quite a save by Casale. All right, so there's the walk. And here comes Melky. See what they're going to do with him. They're going to put him on. So it's going to be up to Avi.
Not only the lefty-righty advantage, but Kevin Cash knows that Melky Cabrera has been red hot. And the percentages say, hey, look, if Garcia ends it, there's nothing you can do, but you load him up, you take your chances on a double play. But you can't let Melky end it. He's been swinging it too well.
The best option.
Yeah.
Sacks packed with Sox. 1 out.
The only question is, if you're an infielder with Tampa Bay, you look in, you find out where Kevin Cash wants you to set up. Does he want you in? Does he want you halfway? He probably doesn't want you back. Now they're going to take an injury timeout as Dribble Cabrera, who was hit in the head on a throw from Casale, now goes down on one knee.
Take another look at the throw, and he just flat whiffed on it.
What happened was he looked away to see if there was a tag. And now he's going to leave the game.
They're going to take him out. So Beckham will go in at shortstop.
That's how he was drafted. He's been a lifetime shortstop, and they're going to make sure that Asdrubal is okay. We certainly hope that he is. Been around a long time. Had a good day today, but get hit in the head directly with a throw without getting almost any glove on it, you've got to be shaken up.
That's the first time I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
First time I've ever seen that. Got a whiff on it, and it gets him in the head. So here we go. Here's Avi.
Instead of playing him way in, they're going to play him a little bit more in than halfway, actually.
Well, they've got to, for the speed of the runner. As there's ball one, that's big. First pitch always big in this sequence. You want the two, but you got to make sure you get that man at third. So they're 1-0. And that evens the count. They've been trying to pitch him up and in. That was a big pitch. 2 balls and a strike. All right, Avi, he's in trouble, not you, buddy. Three and one. Bench jockeys be screaming, squeeze it, squeeze it. Ball 4 in this ball game is over.
Two intentional walks and a very costly unintentional walk ends it.
That 1-1 pitch was absolutely huge, as most of the time it is. So the Sox salvaged the last game of this series and the 6-game homestand, making it 2-4 on the homestand. As great to see David Robertson go out there, 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, and just shut him down completely.
Well, there's no doubt that closers would prefer saves to wins, but the only thing you have and the best upside you have is a win. He went 2 innings to get it, 6 hitters, and David Robertson now 5-3, threw the ball exceptionally well. Avi ends it with a walk-off walk. And so history was not made. Tampa Bay did not sweep the season series, which would have been the first time in history the Sox had ever gone winless against a team in a season series of 6 games or more.
let's go down on the field with Adam Eaton.
All right, thanks, guys. Adam, 5 runs there in the first inning. You guys just trying to make it interesting for the fans here?
I think we're making it interesting for ourselves. A lot of white hairs. We're growing today. When you score 5 in the first inning and you don't do much the rest of the game, it's a little frustrating. You come out, but the pitcher, he calmed down and he started throwing strikes and making it tough on us. But we comeback kids there in the late innings, and it's nice to get a win.
You guys had that nice streak going for a while. How frustrating has it been this last week? Because it seemed like you guys are sort of going in the right direction there.
No, definitely. Winning 7 out of 8 on the road and then coming home and losing is never fun, especially for our home fans. We know they want us to put a good showing on, and it's frustrating for we can tell that they're frustrated. So, like I said, winning 7 out of 8 and then coming home and losing is not always fun.
Take us through that sequence there in the 10th inning. You stole the base. Did you see what happened there with Cabrera?
You know what? I didn't. I just saw him go down, and then the ball just kind of trickled away from him. So, I hate that I had to take the extra base on him, laying there. But, we need to get the third with less than, 2 outs. So, had to do what you got to do. But I hope he's all right. Taking a ball to the face or the head is never fun. So, hopefully he's all right. Crazy
way to end it there with that walk.
Always. This is one of those games that it seems like everything is going to happen. Crazy stuff. So I'm glad, like I said, come out on top.
Adam, appreciate your time. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, let's go back up to you.
All right. Let's check out our player of the game. It is obviously El Garcia, the 3-run homer in the first, and then the bases-loaded walk here in the bottom of the 10th as the Sox win it 6-5 so far. Steve Stone for our Hall of Fame director Jim Angio, our star producer Mike Cleary, our associate producer Dave Ross, our technical manager Mark Harper, and also for the mayor, Mean Joe Groove, for Mike Mayer, Frank D'Amato, Paul Carey, Doug Bullard, our executive producer Jim Carno Jr. This is the Hawk. So long, everybody. You've been watching White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.